Okay, this sermon is about what psychologists call cognitive biases. Now, cognitive biases have gotten a lot of attention lately. For example, you may have heard of a cognitive bias called confirmation bias. In case you haven't, confirmation bias is the tendency of people to see evidence that confirms their views pretty much everywhere they look, but not to notice evidence that is contrary to their views. Now, here's a meta question. Once you know about confirmation bias, will you see evidence of confirmation bias pretty much everywhere you look? I predict that the answer is no. I predict that you will see confirmation bias in a lot of people, but these will tend to be people who disagree with you. I think you'll be much less inclined to see confirmation bias in people who agree with you and less inclined to see it in yourself. In other words, knowledge of confirmation bias will wind up serving the same purpose that confirmation bias serves, which is to convince you that you are right and that people who disagree with you are wrong. Of course, I could be wrong. Maybe you'll guard against confirmation bias. Maybe you will see it coming and head it off at the pass. But in my experience, this is really hard to do. And the reason it's hard to do is the same reason that confirmation bias exists in the first place. The human brain seems to have been designed by natural selection to sometimes keep us from seeing the world clearly. There are built-in filters that make it hard for some truths to penetrate our minds. Now, it's not impossible to muster enough self-awareness to overcome these filters. So even though I'm predicting that you will fail to surmount your confirmation bias, go ahead and give it a try. I would love to see evidence that I'm wrong.